Well, g'day everyone. It's sort of a little bit like Christmas morning for me. You know what I'm like about my Profoto gear. I thought I've just picked it up actually. I've just got the light and stuff like that, and I thought why not unbox it with you guys? Look, some of you obviously may not be interested if you're not into the Profoto gear at all, but I thought I'd share it with you anyway, and it'll be like I said, sharing Christmas morning with me, so we can all have a look together. To see what's in the box and stuff like that. And I'll give it a couple of minutes just so people can pop on because it wasn't scheduled. I mean, I only gave 5 minutes warning. So pop in, have a chat, say hi in the chat if you are popping in. We can have a little talk there before we go over. Let me just move over to the chat. So I'm just going to give this a few minutes. I'll put in the timeline when I start unboxing it if you do not want to watch this pre-show. Like I said, I'm only going to do this for 5 minutes just to make sure everyone's on board. So let me see who's here at the moment. Langston's here. Daniel's also here. Jamie says unboxing time. Yep, really excited. I haven't looked in it yet myself. Langston says I'm a Godox user, but I'm still interested. Aaron Ho says have fun, David. Thank you so much, Aaron. You're not getting it back. I love it. Ben said surprise, surprise, laugh out loud. I know it apparently I was talking to a person today when I went and picked this up, was saying that apparently when I picked it up, Mark, who I deal with at CR Kennedy, was saying that he gave the light to someone else. I'm not going to say who it is, but he's a very high profile photographer, but he said the build quality of this light is way better than what the previous A1 was. So it'll be interesting to have a look when I have a look with you guys. I thought the build quality was really good before, but this is going to be interesting. So what else have we got? Richard said, hi, David. Aldrich said, hey. Doug also said, greetings from Iowa in the States. Drew Day says, hi, David. Steve says, greetings all. Victor says, hi, David. And Thomas Payne says, another unboxing. I know. How good is it? So let me just quickly pop over just while people are popping in, and then I'm going to have a look with everyone. Florio, hey, David, I was going to sleep, but boom, you go live. Thanks for keeping me sleep deprived. I love it. Let me just quickly go and thank CR Kennedy for this. I just wanted to give them a quick promote really for the Aussie users that are here. If you are thinking about buying this gear that I'm just about to show you, best place to get it is CR Kennedy. But not only that, look, if you don't want to buy the lights, if you're not into Profoto, well, they do sell high-end cameras, lenses, drones, cases. I've got a great case and I'm going to review for you guys as well. I love it actually. Studio lighting, they have everything in there as well. Memory cards, photo accessories, tripods and heads, etc. I am going to start looking also at some sign lenses. I can't wait to do that with you guys, so stay tuned for that. But they are in all of the states in Australia and also in New Zealand. So please, if you can, support them. Great local company. Really are a great local company. So let me just come back to here just to see who's here before we go over. Ken said, hey David, how's it going? Really great, Ken. Linda said, hi from Sweden. Well, you're going to love this, Linda, because it's from your home country. Hope you like pics. Says, hello, David. Barry says, good afternoon. Langston says, it is sad that they don't trust anyone that follows me on Instagram that don't know from somewhere else. Oh, if you don't know them, yeah. Linda says, just got up here and it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Linda. William said, bearded Osler. Yeah, this is my new age David Osler. I've just been too busy to have a shave. Hero says, yay, new gear. Chris said, hello, David from rainy Los Angeles, but a good Corona night. At least you're getting some rain, which is good, isn't it? DL says, greeting from Arizona. Langston says, happy birthday, Linda as well. So happy birthday, Linda. We all hope you have a wonderful day ahead. So let me just have a drink of the Coke, because I'm wearing a Coke t-shirt, actually. So shall we do this? I'm always so excited when I pick something up. So let's have a look at the box. So here we go. All right, so this is the box that it comes in. Very Apple-y, really, when you look at it in the way that it's sort of packaged and everything else. So it does look very Apple-y. Just realised, Aaron, though, when I picked this up, I didn't get any of the attachments, which I'm not sure whether I'll be able to get them now, but it would have been good to get some of their gels and stuff like that, but I'm not even sure what's in the box, so we'll have a look. So let's open it up. So, like I said, I'll bring it out. Now you'll notice too that this is the thing too that is the main part, that this is for Sony. All right, so you'll notice there that it says Sony. Let me hide my face. It's taken Profoto a long time to produce a Sony version of this. When I actually reviewed the Canon version of this when the A1 was released, brand new, Profoto gave me one to actually show, and that was probably around about 2 years ago. So I used the Canon version and loved it, but the only thing was I couldn't use HSS and all that sort of stuff. So this is going to be wonderful to be able to use that now because it's Sony native now, which is fantastic. And I'll come back to and answer the questions when people later. So the box itself has just got this, obviously. So you've got some instructions that are in there, and then it's always looking for my face. And then you've got it packaged in a nice little case there. Just says congratulations there, big things ahead. So let me take this out and we'll have a look. So the unit itself is coming in this, but I'll open this up in a minute. Face detection is so strong on this camera. So we'll open that up in a minute. But let's see what's underneath this, because it's probably the power and it may be a couple of accessories or something. I'm not sure. So let's have a look. It's got a little strap in there. So obviously you've got your charger that we've got there for the battery. And then in here, I'll just put this down. Then in here, we've got some instructions that I'm going to have a look at, because I am a bit of a geek. I do read the instructions. Got a little strap if you want to. And then you've got your power cable for the charger. And this will be your USB lead to if you want to connect it and stuff like that to the computer. The great thing is, this uses the same system that the B10 does. So if you want to update the firmware or anything like that, you do it through your phone. You do it through the app itself. And I'll do full reviews, so you'll see how this does work fully. Now inside here, it will be the couple of little attachments. So I think this is going to be a magnetic attachment that goes on the top, if I remember from when I did the Canon one. So this is the magnetic side to it. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And this is also a bounce card that you can use as well. So we'll look at that a little bit later once we've had a look at the light. So excited. Oh, I love it. Someone just said in there, who was it? Marge said, love your enthusiasm. I thought I was the only one who becomes a 5-year-old. No, I'm shocking. Kerry always laughs at me when I look at new gear. I really do. I just love it so much. I'm the biggest geekhead. So, so this is the light here. Now, just check there's nothing else inside there. Nope. So this is the light. It's beautifully designed. I mean, it really is a sort of gorgeous industrial design. Stunning. I mean, shall I peel the thing off? Shall I do it? You ready? You ready for this? Ooh, hang on. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that's so satisfying. Yeah, it does feel a bit nicer. I remember the old version that I had. There was definite clicks. I'm just trying to get my face out of it. There was definite clicks when you move the head around with the old version, whereas this doesn't have that issue. So it's great to be able to sort of bounce back behind you and stuff like that. And when you're moving it now, there's only very subtle clicks. I don't know whether you'll hear it, but the old one had very hard sort of stops, whereas this one doesn't have that. I'll just see if it powers on, whether there's a battery in there. So that's your battery. Let me just see if I can move my face. So that's the battery itself. I think it does around about 450 charges now. It's a 450 full power charges. Now I know from the way that I do flash work and stuff like that, you're very rarely ever using full power I'll just show you the inside. You're very rarely using full power flashes. You often, only working sort of half power and things like that. So that's how that works. Let me turn this on. And it's just telling you there to unlock to scroll. Then you can see the power ratings. The software itself, I mean, the way the interface looks is beautiful. I mean, it's very, very similar. The battery's dead, so I'm not going to get much out of it at all. But it is very, very similar to what the B10 is. It looks almost exactly the same, and that's one beautiful thing. I suppose if you press in the middle there, you'll go into your menus, and this is how you set. Let me just see if I can get the thing. This is how you do all your settings and things like that as well. So the software itself is beautiful. You've got 20 groups that you can assign to. So if someone else has a similar light, you can set up from 1 to 20. So there's 20 channels, I should say, which is fantastic. Also, like I said, you can control this from your mobile phone as well. So that's another good aspect of it as well. But beautiful industrial design. I mean, it's quite gorgeous when you look at it. I mean, it's lovely. There is a light on this, but I'm going to have to work out. Oh, there we go. There's a light switch, I think, there, which means if I press on that, you'll get your light that shows up. And you can see if I fire it to the back over there, it's quite bright. Now, that's probably... I'll have to work out how to set brightness and everything as well, or how that changes. But you can see how that works. So you can use that as a video light as well. So you can see that between the back. So there's a couple of LED lights through there. Again, like I said, I'll have a look through the menu and just work this out completely how it works. So that's that side of things. Your zoom is turning from here, so if I turn that around, that's obviously the zoom of the light as well. Flash, obviously, you can do your check. Now, this will keep up with my A7 III. It'll do 10 frames per second continuously as long as you want to shoot with it. As long as you're not shooting on full power. If you're shooting at full power, it's going to be it'll be 1 second between charges, or full power shots, which is pretty quick. So that's something also that you have to consider as well. It's very fast if you're shooting. If you're not shooting on full power, like if you're shooting half power, something like that, it will keep up with your A7 III. And let me just put it on, because I think when you put this on, it's going to tell you you've got to turn your wireless on. Let me just attach it. Now, I've got wireless turned on, so it may not do it. No, it doesn't. I believe if you haven't got wireless on your flash setup on your camera, because that's one thing a lot of users forget to do, is they forget to put wireless in their settings in the camera. So the flash will actually give you a warning about that, which is fantastic, which is a really good feature. But nice. I mean, it seems to be that it looks nice on the camera itself, so it does look lovely if you're looking at it. Like I said, the industrial design, you do have to give to Profoto. It's beautiful. This will also control my B1s as well, so this will control these lights as well, so I can have this working on camera and control the power output of my B10 or any other Profoto light that I've got. That's why I'm saying if you're a Profoto user, having one of these is really a no-brainer. It really is. I'm not saying it's for you if you are not into the Profoto system. You may want to go for Godox. But this, for me, is just a no-brainer. And like I said, they're two totally separate markets. So for someone like me, a user of Profoto, this is golden. It really is. I don't think you understand how much I'm looking forward to that side of it. There is, I believe, also an LED a laser focus assist. Again, I'll have to look at that. So it will help you with your focusing, and it uses a laser for that. So I'll have to let you know about that. But looks really, really nice. I mean, really nice. Now, the thing that I've got as well, I'm just going to see if this fires. Oh, I've got it on video. Let me just go to stills. Yep. Now, let me just see if I can go to fast on this. Where are we in here? I'm always changing. I'm so used to using the A9 now that I'm used to looking for the controls where the A9 is. Where are we? I've got to find out where it's set now. Oh, by the way, too, I'm going to unbox this with you as well, which is the Profoto Connect as well. So we'll have a look at that too. Let me just see if I can change the shutter on this. All right, so we'll go to high, and then we'll see how it goes. Ooh, I should take the flash off this actually, so it doesn't have to focus. I should have taken that off there. Let me just see, because it's too dark to see anything. Because it's so dark in this room. Let me see. So let me put it at a reasonably fast shutter speed. Let me take the ISO down. And then let me see if I can fire this off. Now this will go forever. It's not going to have any overheating issues, nothing. Now I'm on 4.5 there and it was keeping up with it. Let's go up a little bit higher. I'll go to 5.4. And like I said, this is where this is so good for dancing because, and this is not even charged. Like I said, the battery's nearly empty on this. That was 5.4 that I'm sending that flash off. And like I said, it'll go all day. It will never overheat. You can fire off all day like that. So if you're dealing with dancers and stuff like that, having the ability to do that, and though they will be consistent the whole time, I can guarantee that there'll be almost no fluctuation between any of those shots at all. They'll be almost dead on. And like I said, you can do that until the battery runs out. It will certainly keep up with your camera, which, you know, is incredible. 1 second between full power shots. So if I put it up to full power and then do it, you're going to get 1 second. It'll still fire, actually. And that's on full power as well. So pretty incredible. So let's have a look at this. And then I'll open up the chat. We'll have a look at that. So I'll just get out my little handy photographer's tool that I love so much. Oh, where's the blade? This side. So this is the Profoto Connect. Now, they've designed this Connect. Let me just take this off. Let me turn that off. I've got to work out where it disconnects from now. All right, so I'll take that off. Now, this Profoto Connect is designed particularly, I believe, for photographers that are just coming into the industry that don't want control over their cameras. So this little device here, let me just see if I can focus on it. It always tries to look for my face. Oh, there we go. All right, so this little tiny device. Now, there's only a couple of controls. It's got a little sticker here. So that's it there. Let me just hide that again so it's not seeing my face. Focus. This is the A7 III, so it always takes a bit longer to switch. This little device here, if I pull this off, what's it saying? It just says, to get started, download a Profoto app in your app store and follow the instructions. So I'm going to have to open up the app as well, that I'll show you in the full review when I do it. But basically, that's the little attachment that sits on top of your camera. That way. It is tiny, actually, really small. It almost looks like a radar antenna. If I bring that over, let me see if it'll go focus. Yeah, there. So you can see it there, how small that is. And all there is on the back of it, there is just an off. There's an auto. Let me see how close I can get that. There's an off. There's a auto and then a manual up there as well. And all you do is you just twist that to where you want it to go. So if that would be no flash, that's on TTL, and then that there is on auto. Now it probably won't fire because I have to do this through the app to set it up, but I'll just see. But I think I'd have to set it up. Let me just see if it fires. Helps if I turn the camera on. No, it didn't fire. So I've got to set that up yet in the app, so I'll have to play around with that a little bit later when I've got that all set up. But that's designed as a minimalistic type thing. If you want to go more high-ended, well, then obviously you can go for the Air remote, which is this one, and this has more control. This is basically designed for run and gun. So it's designed for if you're just say working in a wedding or something like that, and you just want to use TTL, and then use your shot from there. Now, the way that I would use this is I would use TTL as my first exposure to get close. I would then just switch that onto the manual setting, and then it would then lock it. So then I could just control the exposure through my phone. So that's the way that works. I probably would still work with this way so that I can control the power from this Profoto Air remote here. But there's also a use for this too, like if I wanted to just run and gun and do stuff like that, where I just use TTL and then just fire away, put it into manual, and then not have to worry about it anymore. It's also incredibly small as well, which is really nice. This is also a fraction cheaper than the Air remote as well. So they're the settings. So like I said, I'll have to play around with the app to get it started, like it said. Just let me turn that off. So let me just open up chat. I just want to see what people are saying. It's pretty exciting though. I'm pretty excited anyway. Let me come down here. Incredibly, like Manny said, he loves the simplicity. I do adore, like, especially, I love the fact of how the menus work. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, that you do get an amazing setup through here. Like I said, your menu system, it's beautiful to go through there. Turning your lights on as well, on and off. I'll have to play around with that to see how that's rated and what color balance this is set on. It seems warm, so they may have gone for incandescent, I'm not sure. Which in some ways makes more sense for some lighting scenarios because I'm often color balancing anyway. I'll have to measure that and see what that says about that setting. But beautiful, beautiful interface. These things up here, I suppose, are changing all your channels and stuff like that as well. Like I said, this will also control all of my other Profoto lights as well. And I'll show you that in a full review that comes up. But beautiful, beautiful industrial design. It really is, like a stunning piece of hardware. It really is. Let me just switch that off. See what else people are saying. Mohammed says, excellent. Linda says, thanks, David. Mus says, hello all. Langston says, we are full up on rain. I want to fly my drone already. What else? I've got the Sony Speedlight. Nothing's wrong, but more infos are always better. Yeah, I've got the Sonys as well. I may sell both of my Sonys, though, to get this. Langston said, what's the build quality on the box? What's the build quality on the box? The build quality, when you're saying what's it like, the box, it's pretty amazing. Like I said, it's very Apple-y as well. Greetings from Tassie, light showers today. Dolphite saying hi. Ken says, have a Coke and smile. Langston says, I'm curious if the Rogue flash gels will fit on there. Probably not. I mean, I don't know. What else have we got? Linda says, can you look for the foot in... Can you look for it in the foot is in the PAL stick? I have some issues with Godox foot being plastic and it breaks too easy. Oh, you're saying the foot on it? Yeah, well, it does seem, I mean, I think it's all plastic, but everything that I've seen from the Profoto side seems to be very, very well made. I've never heard of anyone having an issue with the feet on these at all. Marge says, love your enthusiasm. I thought I was the only one who becomes like a 5-year-old at Christmas time. Hello, David from Raccoon, California, is it? Rancho, I mean. Langston says, $9.99 in the house. Langston says, haha, the sound effects. Raise your hand if you use Godox but are jealous of that screen. I know the screen is beautiful, isn't it? Manny says, love the simplicity. If Apple meets a flash, that's how it would look. I agree, Manny. That is exactly... how I think it would look. It is beautiful industrial design. I mean, it's actually, you've got to hold it to understand how these things feel. I mean, I know, yes, it's plastic, but it is gorgeous industrial design. And it's more that side of it. Like, I hope they bring out this in a remote as well. Like, I'm really hope that Profoto eventually bring out a remote that has, like, this interface in it as well. Because once you've used the B10, which has a very similar interface, you can see here, it's the same now. Once you've used that, it's beautiful to go to keep going that way. I mean, on here you've got your battery. Let me just see. You can also turn on your lights through this as well. That's your lights through there, and control power and everything as well. And you're going to be able to control all of that from here as well, which is going to be fantastic. Like I said, this will work amazingly well with the B10. It'll work with all of my Profoto lights, but it's going to work really well with the B10. And uses the same app, which is what's really nice as well. But yeah, the interface is just lovely. And the good thing about this is that you can see this from a long way off too, to see what you're actually using. But so quick and easy to change settings, stuff like that, which is, beautiful. Let me just turn that off. Looks awesome like every new toy. Dolphite says, I'm with you, Manny. It looks a lot like a design from Apple. Chris says, Langwee, he's talking about that, some code or something. David, is the hot shoe plastic? Yeah, well, I think it is. But, I mean, that part's obviously metal. But I think so. But like I said, I've never ever heard of you breaking a Profoto hot shoe. I've never heard of it. Daniel said, the foot on the flash is mostly metal. I got mine yesterday. Yeah, it is mostly metal if you look at it, but I don't know whereabouts. I'm just trying to see if I can get that to focus. Oh, see if it'll focus. There we go. It is mostly metal, but it's plastic on this part, sort of up here. So it is plastic there. But yes, mostly metal, as you can see there. DL says A1X plus B10, awesome light. Yes, it will be. I think that is the ultimate ultimate kit for a Profoto user is an A1X and then the B10 as another light. That's the ultimate combination. I agree. Daniel said it is plastic near the wires, but none of the moving parts that touch the flash shoe are plastic. Linda said, wow, laser, like the worst Star Wars flash laser. Delphite said, as good as it looks, it's kind of look bigger than most. It's not that big. It's probably similar to my Sony flash. I'll grab one. So if you're looking at size comparison, it's really no bigger at all. They're both about the same. It's just more the fact that, like I said, this just feels so beautiful compared to the old interface, which you're looking at, through here. There's no batteries in it, but if you look through that would have the old interface on the Sony flash through there. Whereas this one is just a beautiful design. But it also feels really nice too when you're moving the flash around too. Like it feels very, very solid. There's a bit of resistance there, which is nice. I love shooting, obviously, going backwards and shooting back that way. So I'm shooting behind me, using walls behind me as illumination and stuff like that. You've got your zoom ring up the top through here. So that's how you'll zoom it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's lovely. Let me see what else people are saying. What's the wattage on this? I've got no idea, Hero. They don't say, but it's probably the same as the V1. I think they're probably about the same, whatever that is. Barry says, where were we? Looks great, I want one. Sammy Photography said, is there a coffee opener in that photography? No, there is no, there's no coffee opener in that knife thing. But the price, Profoto is like 3 times the amount. Well, Chris, yes it is, but then it's not for you. That's what you've got to work out for. Remember, this is a totally different system, completely different system. The people that are buying for the Profoto market are not going to be buying the Godox type system. If you're starting out and things like that, like I said, I'm always honest with you guys. If you're starting out and you haven't got much money, I would go with the Godox, and then there's no problem with that at all. I'm a Profoto user though, so for me this is worth every bit of the money that it costs, because this will operate all my other lights that I've got, and it just fits within my system really well as well. The other thing too is if you're doing dance work and stuff like that, where you have to be constantly shooting. If you're an event shooter, where you will have to fire off, like if you're a journalist or something like that, having something like this can mean the difference because it will not overheat. There's no way this will go into thermal protection. You can fire this off all day long and it will not stop. And that's one big difference with what you're paying for what you get there. Also, if flash is critical to you, and this will do full power every second, whereas the Godox V1 is 1.5 seconds. Now that can be a difference if you're doing dance work and stuff like that, where you've got a dancer that's jumping. That split second difference can be everything. Also, if you're doing dance work like what I do, and you have to fire off continuous flashes all the time to stop that dancer mid-air, having it where it will just keep firing like that forever is a big plus. But only you can decide if it's worth it for you or not. If it's not worth it for you, well, then you get the Godox V1. If you're in the market for more high-ended gear, you would get the Profoto. It's like I've said that, I have an Apple Watch, but I don't bag people that go out and buy Tag Heuer or however you pronounce it, or a really expensive watch. That's their choice and good on them. I drive a Holden, a Commodore, which is a Holden, and I don't bag people that go around and drive a Ferrari or a Mercedes. I think good on them. It's the same thing. Some people love to buy this type of gear, others don't. And I can't really say it any more than that, really. Now you have a radar station. I know it is. It's just like it is like a radar station, isn't it? It really does look like that. Incredibly simple, and that will really appeal to people that are just starting in the industry. And even it might appeal to me if I wanted to do run and gun type stuff where I'm just using TTL, and that is often what I do. I'll use TTL and then I'll go to manual. But it's lovely and small. I mean, that is really nice and small, and it does look like a radar tower. I agree with you. It does. Let me just come back to here. DL says, my Godox strobes are good, but they can't keep up with a camera like David just showed. And that's the thing. You get what you pay for if you're talking about that. Like, I could shoot with that like I showed you on the A1X all day. It will do that all day until your battery is drained. And that's a big thing if you're a professional photographer. And that's something that you do have to understand. And I'm not bagging Godox at all because I think Godox is a great system, but Godox will go into thermal protection if you do that for too long. It's everyone knows that. If you never come across that, well then it shouldn't bother you, but it would if you were doing dance work and firing off continuously like I just showed you. But you're paying for that feature. I agree. Good thing I'm not a paparazzi, Langston said. Photomech said the Profoto Connect, though. Yeah, look, I admit, Photomech, that I would probably still use this most of the time, but I can see where that would have a use for people that want to run and gun, learning photographers that don't want to have to deal with working out, how to control these because they're a lot more complex. I still would go this way though. If that was me, I would still buy the Air Remote. But I'll let you know what I feel about it when I use it. I've got to use it to let you know. Mohammed says, hi David, what is the difference between circular flashlight and the rectangle? Well, it's more the light fall off. The rounder lights have a softer fall off. So if you're looking at it and a perfect example is if you were shooting, say, just the light pattern against a brick wall, you'd see that the round flash has a lovely circle in it and it's a much softer fall off. The typical flash that you use like this will have, it's a bit harder on the top and on the bottom due to the fact that it's not round and soft like that. These have a Fresnel type lens in them, so it is much softer. Power output, about the same, but it's much softer with the round one. And that's really the difference between the two of them. Langston says, don't worry, in the future Star Trek makes this all irrelevant with halo images. The difference is how light spread overall in the fall off, roughly. Yep, that's exactly right. Steve said, you have more birthdays than anyone I know. I love it. Langston says, thanks, it was metallic, sorry for my English. Yeah. I don't know the English name for it. The foot, I think, like the sides of the hot shoe of the camera. Yeah, like I said, all the foot is though, but then the rest of the part where it joins is just that plastic. But like I said, I've never heard of anyone breaking one of those. The top cover of the case doesn't have the diffuser. Yes, it should. No, it doesn't actually. Oh, yes, it does. You're right, Langston. Thanks for that. That's it there. That's the diffuser. Now, let me just check, see how this goes. So, let me just go to the main screen. Where'd I put that thing? So, it'll just connect like that. So, it's the same as what the V1 will do. There's magnets all inside. You'll notice there's magnets inside here. And the dome diffuser then just clips on. That definitely now holds much better, though, than what the old version did. It's much firmer than what the A1 did. I can remember that for sure. That's a much more sort of satisfying clip in and grab. Then you've got that soft light. So, you know, if you turned on the light, I've just got to work out how to control the power of this. You'll get a much softer light now that sort of comes out when we're looking at it. And I hope it does stay that colour light. I always, for nighttime particularly, when I'd be doing flash work or doing continuous light amongst lights and stuff like that in the evening, having a bit of a warmer light is beautiful. So I'll have to look at that and just see how that looks. You'll also, I'm not sure whether or how you can even control the power. That's something I've got to check and see how that works. But so that softens the light a lot. So that's that. And there's also, what did I do with the other thing that I had? I wanted to show that other attachment. Oh, here it is. So I think that this, where's the other part? I've got stuff everywhere on this. Oh, there it is. So I've got a feeling that this, is that how it goes? Or does it go that way? Not sure. Let me check. Oh, yeah, I think it goes like that. So I think that this just goes on around here. All right, so you push that into there like that. Then that will go into your light. And so then that gives you a... it's quite nice because you can shoot off the roof, and this gives you a bit of a catch light that you can grab for your eye. You're throwing a little bit of light into the front as well. So let me just turn this on. I think it's run out of battery actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has. I think the battery's dead. Oh no, there we go. It's come up. So you'll see here that this will throw a little bit of a catch light at the front. So it gives you a little bit of light there, and it also will still bounce off the ceiling. So these are great to have to give you that little catch light in your eye. The problem is if you bounce just directly off the roof, you sometimes don't get enough fall off on your face. So this will give you that part to it too. And I think you can even still fit the diffuser up there. Yeah, that will still go up there as well, which is the... let me just turn that off. So you can also stick that in as well. Now, if you've got the grids, the colour grids, they just simply fit inside here and then they'll just attach in as well. So I'll have to see if I can get a set of those too. But like I said, beautiful, lovely design. Thanks for that, Langston. I forgot about that, the little diffuser up there in the hood. And that was just in there. That was in the hood part there. What else have we got? Langston said, Christo, he's talking to someone else there. Chris said, yeah, they don't like photographers there. It's run and gun, natural light kind of play. Oh, you're talking to Langston, okay. Where were we? William said, what's the price? Well, in Australia, it's $1,500, I believe. But in the US, I think they're $1,000, roughly about $1,000. So, like I said, they're not cheap, but for me, it's certainly worthwhile. Harry says, I just love the round look of the Godox Classic, but the shape doesn't produce the quality and strength of the flash. Hero says, yes, this thing is 1,000, that's nuts. Yeah, well, they're not cheap, but like I said, if you're like me, it's worth it. It just depends on whether you'd like to be in the Profoto system or not, Hero. Daniel says, this light can control any Profoto lights with wireless capabilities, so you can do the 1D, the B1, the B1X, and the D2. Yes, you can, Daniel, exactly right. Any of those lights that have wireless, you can control it, and that's what's fantastic about it. And you can control it from the camera. Harry says, what is the best Pro-style third-party hot shoe flash compared to major manufacturer models nowadays? Mets back in 90s was my go-to. What's the best Pro-style third-party? Probably if you're looking at the third-party one, I'd probably say Godox, Harry, if you were sort of looking at it that way. What else have we got? Langston says it's like my AD200. Photomix says, one day I hope to be able to afford Profoto. Soon as my funds double, I'm switching to Profoto. Yep, and I can understand what you're saying, Photomix. Like I said, a lot of people always go on about the cost, but you do get what you pay for if you look at what I showed you before with that continuous flash. The build quality is just outstanding. The industrial design is just gorgeous on these, but you're paying for that. Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. You pay for that feature. So you have to, if you can justify it with your business, it's a fantastic product. Photomix said, screw this Chinese knockoff junk, but until then, go gadget Godox. William said, David, are you going to review the Godox V1? I may one day, if I can get my hands on one. But see, for me, I mean, I might, just for people that want to more go to the lower-ended flashes. But for me, because I'm so ingrained with the Profoto products, this makes total sense to me. And that's why I said to a lot of people that, you know if this is right for you. And, if it's not right for you, well, then you go for the cheaper options. But like I said, for me to have the ability to control all of my flashes that I've got, the ability to control this with this, and have them both work, and as many I think I've got 6 or 7 Profoto lights that I use in my studio and location. I've got B2s and everything as well. I'm not big noting myself, but I've bought that over a long period of time, and Profoto stuff lasts forever. But to have the ability to be able to control it all from here, all from here, like I said, I'm not certain yet how this will fit into my workflow, the Profoto Connect. I may just still stick with the Air remote, but it doesn't mean that I won't get the Profoto Air Connect to have quick run and gun type work if I'm just using TTL, because that doesn't hurt to just have that in your bag, and then you can just drag that out whenever you wanted to do some quick TTL stuff. I mean, it's very, very minimal, very, very, very minimalistic, which is beautiful in a way. I mean, it's typical of Profoto's industrial design. I mean, it is beautiful. Like I said, it looks like a radar tower sitting overhead. What else have we got? Except it's, and that's about it. So, that's really all I wanted to sort of talk to you today about that aspect of it, that I did pick that up. I mean, fire away a couple more questions if you want. Rent said, rent a Profoto light and you'll see why they're worth the dollars. Flash makes things look fake most of the time. Yeah, it does, Casper, if you don't know how to use it, and that's the difference. I always say to people, if you can see your images had flash on it, sometimes you might want that look, but if you're really good at flash photography, people will not know that a flash has been used. And that's the thing that you've got to do with that aspect of it. You've got to balance the ambient with your flash, and that's the secret, say, between getting really beautiful type work and not having it that way. I was just going to bring up Rebecca's thing and show you what I mean. Let me just bring up Rebecca and go to 5, rated. Let me just make this a bit smaller so we can see it all together. If you're looking at these images through here, let me just go to ones like this. You know, it's ones like that where I was fighting the light that was sort of there, and she had the shadows and everything weren't falling really beautifully on her face, and I used flash to sort of overpower that. But you know, it's images like that where you can fill back, where you have to use flash in this scenario where she was incredibly heavily backlit. You know, this sort of stuff you've got to use flash in that case, but you've got to try and balance the look of the flash that you're dealing there with the ambient light. I mean, this was no flash used actually. I just increased the exposure, underexposed, and then brought it back up. But these all had flash all on them to try and make it balance the ambient light. And you can see it because if you look closely, you know, when you're looking at her eyes, you can sort of see the catch lights that's in her eyes through here. This was done with the Sigma 135. You know, these were daylight, so I didn't have to do any. I know that, yeah, they're both daylight, so I didn't use any flash at all with those. There's ones further down where I use flash. Like I said, that had flash on it, which is again balanced background. And I don't think these look too flashy when I say, look, you know, like they've had flash put in. You wouldn't really know what's going on because I've tried to balance that flash exposure as close as I possibly could to the ambient light. These ones also had flash brought on because she was so dark that I had to give her a kick from the front, so I had to use flash. This was all shot with the Profoto B10. Again, like ones like this was, you know, I had to light her up from the background here as well. She would have been very, very dark because it's very, very light in the background. You know, so I've had to light her up there with the Profoto B10 as well to give her a kick in that background. This one again has also been back, but you wouldn't think looking at them that, you know, that they're really, really hot, flashy type looking images. Again, close-up one that I've done of Rebecca here. She was incredibly dark in this area. Where were we? Incredibly dark in this area, and you can see if I bring the eyes up, you know, that this was shot with the Sony 135. You can just see that it's given a bit of a kick. You can see the light that's hitting her eyes just through here. You know, and these are sort of things like I'm saying if you're doing flash work. This was incredibly challenging. She was unbelievably backlit here. So I had to use the flash on high power with a Magnum reflector. That was also the Profoto B1, and again, I've tried to balance her exposure with the ambient exposure that you can see. Here again, she would have been incredibly dark, so I've tried to balance her again with that ambient exposure through there. You know, and you can sort of see on and on how I've tried to do that in each case with different cameras. You know, and again, that's another one where you can see the shadows sort of forming across here due to the fact it was so mottly, the light. These were shot during challenging conditions. It was around about lunchtime, so I did have to try and put her in the shade, but the background would have then been so overexposed, so I exposed for the ambient, and then I filled her in with the flash. And that's, you know, what I look for when I'm dealing with that type of work. So in some cases, yes, you do have to use flash, but, you know, if I will try if I can to get natural daylight stuff, and that's what was done with these. So these were both shot with natural daylight. So if the daylight's there, I will use it. It's only if I'm forced to start using light that it needs it that I'll think, well, yes, I'm going to actually have to bring in a flash to add that light and that contrast, whereas these have all had just natural light put in. Let me just see what people are saying. She is hot, Casper. Yeah, she's a beautiful girl, inside and out. She's amazing. Photomix said, yep, Langston, I also like what the Profoto brand, yep. And I understand, I totally agree with you, Photomiac. It is a great brand. Aaron said, let's see if I can get some gels in your hands, David. Yeah, that's the only thing I forgot to ask about, Aaron. Seeing I've got this for a month, it would be nice and handy if I had gels because I could show the whole thing working with the accessories that come with it. Langston says, maybe I'll want that though. Oh, you're talking about something else. Photo Mix says, I also want a Mercedes G-Wagon, but I also love my current Dodge. Langston says, that whole set is awesome. Thank you, Langston, for saying that. A lot of those were shot with the Sigma as well. Like, incredibly good lens. I couldn't believe how well, I took that back today. I couldn't believe how well that Canon lens worked. It was outstanding. Linda says, love those photos, beautiful. Thank you, Linda. Langston says, yeah, the Mercedes, but I download hate when I hate them in LA. She's smoking hot, Casper said. Langston said, David, was any constant light coming from the B10 or used? No, I couldn't use constant light during that time, Langston, because it was so bright. I can use this light when it starts to get darker and say late afternoon, I can start to use it. It will work in daylight, but you've got to get that close that, it gets ridiculous. Later on, when it starts to get to dusk and all through the night, I tend to not use flash anymore. I tend to then use the continuous light. That's often the way that I work now. This has changed the way I shoot completely due to the fact that when I'm doing now weddings and all that sort of stuff, receptions, I'm using continuous light the whole time. I mean, all I'm doing is I just fire this up. I can control it from my phone. Kerry will light whatever's up in the background. I usually put a 2-foot octa on this so it's nice and soft. I'll show you exactly how it works. Let me just grab the reflector and I'll show you. So this is what I'm using. Let me just switch this off for a minute. So I'm using this 2-foot reflector. Now it's got the grid on it because sometimes I want to control spill. So that's sometimes what I'm using. And all they are is I'll just attach it like that. Now you do have an attachment there that shows you your zoom settings. And I'll just show you what that means before I start. What those settings mean there is it's zoomable. So when you push this in to your modifier, it will change the way the light looks. Now I can't show you here, but I'll demo it one day. It actually zooms the light in and out. And it's incredibly handy because sometimes if you want to make the light more concentrated, you'll push it forward like that and then the light is sort of more concentrated. If you push it in further in like that, that will make it sort of brighter or stronger. Now, I've found that if the perfect settings for this light is if I go to 3 like that, lock it in. If I do that, you can see that it's lined up exactly on the inside. That gives me, there's some voodoo going on, I don't know what it is, but I've measured it with my light meter. This gives 2 extra stops of light. And it really does. When you looked at those images here that I showed you, what was it, these ones? When I showed you these images here, the light it was just this. This is a 250 watt light. But when I did that with this on it, it basically goes up to 1,000 watts if you're looking at it like that, if you're counting it that way. It gives you 2 extra stops. It's incredible. So all I did was I used that, and that overpowered the sun from a fair distance away. If you check the Sigma and the Sony 135mm, I show how far it is away from Rebecca, the light, because you see it in it. And this is incredible if you want to overpower the sun. They do have these for the B1s as well, but this is the smaller OCF one. So anyway, the way that works, that's how I do if I'm overpowering the sun. If I want to work at night time with continuous light, I'll use this, say a 2-foot octa. I'll stick it in like that. And then all I do is you just lock it down like that. And then all I'll have is my assistant. Now you can use it like that if you want to use it as a normal flash. So if we just fired there, it will be as a normal flash. But usually what I'll do is I'll then go to continuous light, and I will turn it this way, and they'll be facing the subject. If I want to then say go to control the light, that will be cool. that will be warm. So you can see how much it's changing, and all I'm doing is just moving the light at the back through here. Now, I can control that also with my mobile phone as well. So I can do all of this with my mobile phone. So if I want a really warm look, and I'll put it here, you can see that that will be really warm. If I want to go very cool, I can turn it the other way. Oops. And now it'll be, oops, the other way I've got to go. Now it will be really cool. You'll see the difference of the temperature there. So all I have to do is basically my assistant is holding the light, following me around. She'll be holding like that. Kerry usually does it with me. And then I'll just keep firing away in continuous light. So that's usually the way that I'll work with this. You'll see if I change the color now, how much that will change to go to warm. So it's completely changed the way that I shoot. I'll just turn it off. So I tend now in the evening or late at night, I'm tending to use more continuous light. And what I love about the B10s, like I said, that's changed everything for me, because it has the flash that I can use as a normal strobe, or I can go in immediately into continuous light and match the color, the ambient background. You know, if we're looking at the background over there, if I was shooting a model with the black hole that I've got over there, well, all I would do is I'd turn on this. I then turn on the ambient light. Now at the moment that's blue that I'm throwing back there, so it's daylight balance now. So if I want to control that, I can then come down here and you'll see it's turning, see how it's turning yellow? So I can match perfectly that ambient background light. And that's why I'm saying to you that, I'll just turn that off. That's why I'm saying to you that it's changed the way I shoot, because I've got all of that now with me. I don't have to worry about gels. I don't have to worry about anything. I can do it all from the Profoto B10. If I said anything to anyone, the best purchase I have ever made, I mean, I love my Sony gear to death, and I love the A9. It's the best camera I've ever had. But there's one piece of equipment that has changed everything for me, and that's the Profoto B10. I cannot say to you how much that has changed the way I shoot. And Kerry told me off when I bought that light, because I've got so many Profoto lights. But now she admits to me, she says, David, I understand why you did it, because it's changed everything, the way I shoot. And just as I've demoed to you, it's incredible. So yeah, I didn't use the constant light during that day because it was bright daylight, Langston. It was not strong enough for that. You need to be sort of late in the evening, or sort of early evening and into the night. What else have we got? I mean, hopefully when I come to the US next year, you people that haven't used one, I'll bring the gear with me and you'll be able to have a play with it. Langston says, do you ever use a bounce card instead of a flash? Do you mean a reflector? Yes, if that's what you're saying. Brandon says, David, would you ever bring a stand with you and use diffusers to play with natural light? Yes, I do. I use a couple of diffusers. I use one Jerry Godox one, and I've also got a Profoto one as well that I use. I use them often to take out harsh light. But I don't usually put them on stands, but I usually put lights on stands. I'll carry a light stand always to stick my Profoto B10 on if I haven't got an assistant. But I don't usually use reflectors on them due to the fact that they're too hard to hold if it gets windy. So if I've got an assistant, yes, I use diffusers all the time. Langston says, I have... You said there during harsh conditions. Yeah, I do. I always try and use it. If I haven't got that, like on the day it was only Rebecca and me when we were doing these shots, if it's only Rebecca and myself or a model and myself, I'll usually have the light on a light stand, and I'll do it with flash rather than using diffusers and stuff, because I just can't do it if I'm working on my own. What else? Langston says, I have been experimenting with constant light, but my setup is Fuglia, carrying an 8600 and aperture 120D with a big V-mount battery. I'm stupid and like to experiment. Yeah, that's why I love that Profoto so much. It's tiny. I mean, honestly, look at the size of this thing. And it's...
I can't search the web on Apple Watch.
Shush, Apple Watch. It's that big. I mean, it is ridiculous. It's like a lens. It really is. And this is the battery, which these batteries last forever. That's your battery that you plug in. You know, and it's, like I said, you upgrade the firmware through your phone. You open up your phone app and you can control that from your phone. I haven't got my phone here, otherwise I'd show you. But brilliant technology. In some ways, I've got three B1s, and in some ways I would love to get rid of a couple of them and buy another B10. I love that light that much. What else have we got? Casper said, I want one for my birthday, David. I'll email you my address. Langston says, how long until you get on battery doing the concert? Well, it lasts a long, I think it's 60 minutes. So it's a long time if you're shooting continuously, Langston. I've got 2 batteries, and I have to be completely honest with you. I bought a second battery because I thought I would need another one. And I use that light for the whole wedding, and I've never yet had to change. I've changed it once. If you did continuous light non-stop, it lasts 60 minutes. That's a long time. That's if you were running it at full power for 60 minutes without stopping. When you're stopping and starting all day, like putting it on for a few seconds here and there, it lasts all day. It really does. If I'm dealing with flash, I've never had to change it. But usually, like I said, now I'm starting to do the receptions and everything else with that one light, and it's fantastic. Brandon says, did the first small one, 250, have constant light and color temps? You're talking about the B10, or the B10 does? Yes. These, I don't think these do. The A1 won't, though, I don't think. Man, I've got to have an assistant. Yeah, it does make a big difference. Photomix says the B10 is almost as big as the 105. Yeah, well, it's funny because it sits in my place as a lens in the bag. So that sort of shows you the size that it is. It probably is a similar size to that 105, Photomix. I agree. It is about that size. But it's good because, unlike my other lights, I can sit that. If you look at the 135mm, there's not a great deal of difference. That's the Sony 135 here. That's the Profoto B10. You know, it fits in your bag like a lens, and that's why I love it, because it's made it so it's so easy for me to travel, because I can just stick that in like that. There is an attachment that you screw on the bottom if you want to use it with a light stand, and that just screws in here. But, you know, I'll often just use it like this. Like, you know, you can just hold it like that or do whatever you want to do with it. Beautiful industrial design again, though. Focus. There we go. Harry says, hey, everyone. Got to get rest and try to. I've just had the umbilical bilateral hernia surgery yesterday and 1 a.m. in the US. Oh, I hope you're feeling so better, Harry. I really do. Any last questions before I go, guys? I'm going to go and have a play and charge all this stuff up so I can play around with it. So stay tuned. I'll use it over the next coming days. I've actually got 2 weddings this weekend. So I'll be using both the A1 and then the B1X, the B10, sorry, for the wedding. So I'll let you know how it goes. Brandon says, the one where you had the beauty dish was on the B10. The one you were talking about, extending it 2 stops of light. Oh yes, that's the that was on the B10, which is that. Yeah, it goes up 2 stops. I've measured it with my I put it on the I put it actually on a light stand. Measured it when it was bare, like that. Measured it bare against the wall, so I didn't move it. I then added the attachment to it, and it was 2 stops brighter. And that's with that voodoo-y, magic-y thing. I mean, it goes incredibly light. I'll show you. I mean, I don't know whether you'll see it on here, but if I turn this on, you probably won't, but let me just switch on this. All right, and then if I put this on, it's It's something voodoo about that. So that's bare. That we'll be putting on the thing, which you can see it concentrates the light. I didn't believe when I bought it. It was quite funny because they're not cheap. I think it was. I can't remember what I paid for it actually, but when I went to the store and bought it, the guy said to me, "You get roughly about 2 stops of light extra." I thought, yeah, okay, it's a sales pitch. So I brought it home and I just tested it against the wall. And because, as you know, I've got a light meter. And it was 2 stops brighter. I couldn't believe it. Now, you've got to set it on 3 on your light. So you have to push it to 3 for it to give you that really extra punch. And I found that was incredibly important, that if you had it on 4, it wasn't quite as bright. If you had it on 2, it wasn't quite as bright. You have to have it on 3 there. If you put it on 3... you get that roughly 2 stops of extra light, which, like I said, gives me the ability to use a 250 watt strobe and overpower the sun, like I showed you in those images. Yeah, it is like a mini sun. It's incredibly bright with that thing on it. It really is incredibly bright with that. Rui said, yes, it's much brighter. Yeah, 2 stops, roughly. Might have been a fraction under, I can't... No, it's pretty close. I think it was 2 stops. Or it might have been 1.8 or 9 or something, but it was basically 2. Which, like I said, if you're dealing with overpowering the sun, there's no way known I could have done that with the bare flash without that magnum reflector. So, you know, that's the thing that I couldn't have done. You know, and it wouldn't have given me the possibility to do that. So I had to stick that magnum reflector on to get enough power to overpower Rebecca. Like I said, check the previous video I've got of Rebecca with the Sony 135mm. You'll see it shows this shot being done, and you'll see how far away that flash was from Rebecca. And to overpower her like it has was incredible. So, yeah. Mark said the B10X next. Maybe, who knows? But let me know anyway, any questions you have down below. I'm sure I'm going to get the usual Profoto haters coming in, throwing things at me later on, you know, like why would you can buy 5 Godox for this price and stuff like that, but that's not what this is about. I mean, I'll probably more than likely will get one of these sooner or later. I mean, like I said, I've got this for a month now, so I'll be able to use it and test it fully for you guys. You know, use it in multiple scenarios, and I'll use the continuous light as well, because remember, this does have continuous light as well. So I'll show you how all that works in the coming days, so stay tuned for that. Apart from that, I have got, just to summarize, I have got another video coming up for the Sigma 135, just for my final summary on that coming up. And I've also got some studio shoots that I did of Chanel that are going to be coming up with the Sony 135, so stay tuned for that. It's done amazing in a studio scenario as well, so stay tuned for that. I've got 2 weddings, like I said, this weekend coming up, so I'll be using this new gear. I'll use the A1X a lot in that, so I'll show you the results that I get from that as well. Apart from that, I'll probably, you know, like take Rebecca out again and we can do some more work or something around Melbourne or something like that with it. So stay tuned for that. Any questions, leave them all down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Apart from that, if I don't come on live, I'll see you with Aaron on Wednesday, or it's Tuesday your time in the US and Europe, for our usual show. We're on Aaron's channel this week, though. I usually do download it and upload it on my channel as well, because sometimes people just don't go over, so we are downloading it and bringing it up on our channel. So stay tuned for that. I might have some more stuff I can discuss with you, about this once I learn the settings and how this works as well in the coming days. Also got a couple of really good things from Small Rig that I'm going to discuss too. I've got a new handle that attaches to the Moza Air 2, but I'm waiting on an adapter that they didn't send me. That I'm still waiting on that, so stay tuned for that. Apart from that, that's all, guys, so have a great day. Really enjoyed the unboxing. Now I'm going to go and have a play with it. See you later, everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.